Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Jinjin's Cosmic. If you didn't happen to be here, perhaps it's time to meet your soul. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and felt the temperature of the room subtly drop? There was no shouting, no overt anger, but the warmth, the engagement, the very light in their eyes seemed to recede behind a pane of flawless, invisible glass. You're left standing there, wondering what you said, what you did, as they offer you a smile that is technically perfect, yet utterly vacant. This experience is the quiet calling card of a Libra who has decided you are no longer a safe investment. They don't hate you. In fact, hatred is an emotional currency far too messy and chaotic for them to trade in. What's happening is far more profound and far more final. Libra, the sign of divine balance and aesthetic grace, isn't just seeking harmony. They are constantly authoring an unwritten contract of energetic exchange with every person they meet. And when you breach the terms of that contract, they don't get mad. They simply, silently, and irrevocably render it void. Stay with me on this journey, because by the end, you will not only understand the Libra in your life, you will grasp the silent laws that govern all human connection. You will learn to recognize the difference between a negotiation and a verdict. And you will uncover the one thing a Libra needs. Even more than peace, a truth will reveal that changes everything. Before we delve into this, I want you to think for a moment. In the comments below, I want you to write one single word that describes the feeling you get when a Libra suddenly goes cold and distant. I'm fascinated to see the patterns. Now, let us begin. To understand Libra, you must first discard the notion that they are passive people pleasers. That is a fundamental misreading of their entire purpose. Libra is not a doormat. They are an architect. From the moment they enter the world, they are not armed with a sword or a shield, but with a blueprint. Their life's work is the construction of beautiful, balanced, and sustainable emotional spaces. Where a fire sign might crash through a wall to connect, Libra studies the load-bearing structures of a relationship. They are the cardinal air sign, which means they initiate with thought, with ideas, with communication. Every interaction is a form of design. They are choosing the materials, the right words, the perfect tone, the precise amount of silence, to build a space where two souls can meet without being damaged. Their nervous system is not merely seeking comfort. It is calibrated to the spiritual acoustics of a room. They can feel the jarring echo of a passive-aggressive remark, the structural weakness of a disingenuous compliment, the beautiful resonance of a shared, honest moment. This is why they often appear indecisive. An observer sees them weighing options, but the Libra is actually running complex simulations. They understand that a single ill-placed word can create a hairline fracture in the foundation of trust. One careless action can compromise the integrity of the entire structure they have so painstakingly built. This isn't indecision. It's the immense pressure of a master craftsperson who refuses to do sloppy work. When you call a Libra fake, what you are often failing to see is the incredible, invisible labor they are performing to maintain an atmosphere of grace, not for their own benefit, but for the sanctity of the connection itself. They are holding the world together with the velvet gloves of diplomacy, because they know, instinctively, that without beauty and balance, human interaction devolves into brutalism. Every beautiful structure Libra builds is governed by a sacred, unwritten contract. They offer this contract to everyone they allow into their lives, and its terms are both generous and absolute. Understanding this contract is the key to truly knowing them. Clause A. The offering of sanctuary. In exchange for your presence, the Libra will provide a sanctuary of emotional safety. They will act as a mirror, reflecting back the very best version of you. They will listen with profound, validating attention, making you feel seen, heard, and valued. They will use their innate diplomacy to smooth over social anxieties and create an environment where you feel you can breathe. They offer you the gift of their poise, absorbing the small shocks of daily life so that the space between you remains serene. Clause B. The requirement of aesthetic integrity. In return, they require you to honor the aesthetic of the space. This is not about physical appearance. It is about energetic integrity. They need you to communicate with care. Cruelty, vulgarity, excessive drama, and loud, unresolved conflict are like taking a sledgehammer to a stained glass window. It's not just unpleasant. It is an act of vandalism against the sanctuary they have built. They are asking you to be mindful, to be refined in your emotional expression, not to be false, but to be graceful. Clause C. The mandate of mutual regulation. This is perhaps the most crucial clause. The Libra, governed by Venus, is the sign of partnership. The scales have two sides. They will work tirelessly to balance their side. But the contract is immediately breached if you refuse to balance yours. They need you to engage in the work of harmony with them. This means you don't dump your unregulated emotions on them and expect them to clean up the mess. It means you meet their efforts with your own. It means when they offer a calm tone, you don't escalate with rage. It is a dance, and they need a willing partner, not someone who stomps all over the floor. People misunderstand this. They see the Libra's charm and flirtatiousness as promiscuous or shallow. But it is neither. It is a form of casting a series of small, graceful tests to see who understands the language of the contract, who can dance, who appreciates beauty, who knows how to build, not just take. That charm is their way of asking, are you safe to build with? So, what happens when the contract is breached? When you consistently bring chaos into their sanctuary, when you mock their need for grace, or when you force them to carry the entire weight of the relationship's harmony alone, the Libra does not explode. They do not seek revenge. They enact something far more chilling, a polite annihilation. The shadow of Libra is not a storm. It is a frost. It is a slow, deliberate, and exquisitely controlled withdrawal of all warmth and light. You will notice it first in their eyes. The engagement will be gone. They will still smile at you, but the smile will no longer reach their eyes. They will still answer your texts, but the life, the music, has vanished from their words. They will say, "It's fine," with such perfect composure that you almost believe them, until the echoing hollowness of that phrase begins to haunt you. This is Libra shutting down the project. They have deemed the foundation unsafe and the partner unreliable. Instead of a messy, dramatic demolition, they simply stop all work. They quietly pack up their tools, their warmth, their validation, their mirroring, and they walk off the site. They don't burn the bridge. They silently, methodically, and beautifully dismantle it, screw by screw, until nothing is left but the empty space where a connection used to be. This is the source of immense confusion for those on the receiving end. They will say, "But you never told me you were unhappy." They fail to realize that Libra told them 1,000 times, not with words, but with the subtle calibrations of their energy. They told you when they flinched at your harsh tone. They told you when they went quiet after your outburst. They told you with every gentle attempt to steer the conversation back to a place of peace. You weren't listening to their language, so they have simply stopped speaking it. Their withdrawal is the final verdict. The case is closed, the contract voided, and there is no appeals process. You have been politely, gracefully, and completely erased from their emotional blueprint. Why? Why does Libra resort to this cold, silent exit? To understand this, we must look at the quiet war they have been waging their entire lives. Harmony is not a mere preference for Libra. It is a deeply ingrained survival instinct. Many Libras grew up in environments where they were hyper-attuned to emotional friction. They became the unofficial mediators, the energetic shock absorbers of their families. They learned to track the subtle shifts in a parent's mood, to sense a brewing argument from 3 rooms away. They learned that their own safety and stability depended on their ability to neutralize tension before it erupted. They became masters of saying it's okay when it wasn't, of packaging their own needs and feelings into forms that were palatable, non-threatening, and easy for others to digest. This is the great burden of the peacemaker. The peace they keep is rarely their own. They bend and adjust and compromise, always trying to rearrange the furniture of everyone else's moods, hoping to finally find a configuration that doesn't result in chaos. They say yes, until a quiet resentment begins to bloom in the carefully tended garden of their soul. They smile through interactions that feel like sandpaper on their skin. They become so good at mirroring others that they begin to lose their own reflection. Their inner world becomes a courtroom where 2 opposing attorneys argue endlessly the need for raw, authentic truth versus the desperate need for peace. They rehearse difficult conversations in their minds for days, editing and softening their words to minimize potential harm. But this constant, invisible labor is exhausting. Eventually, the scales, which they have been artificially holding in balance for so long, begin to tip under the sheer weight of the effort. The smile becomes brittle. Their inner world becomes a courtroom where 2 opposing attorneys argue endlessly the need for raw, authentic truth versus the desperate need for peace. They rehearse difficult conversations in their minds for days, editing and softening their words to minimize potential harm. But this constant, invisible labor is exhausting. Eventually, the scales, which they have been artificially holding in balance for so long, begin to tip under the sheer weight of the effort. The smile becomes brittle. The patience wears thin. And to save themselves, to finally choose their own inner peace over the performance of external harmony, they withdraw. When people say, "You've changed," the Libra thinks, "Number, I've just finally stopped." They have stopped playing a role in a production that was compromising their very soul. The coldness you feel is not hatred for you. It is the long, slow exhale of a warrior who has finally laid down their invisible arms. So, how do you love a Libra? How do you keep them from vanishing behind that wall of polite frost? The answer is both simple and profound. You must stop making them the sole architect of the piece. You must become their co-creator. To truly connect with a Libra is to show them that you understand the terms of the contract and that you are willing to honor them. It means bringing your own tools to the construction site. It means valuing grace, practicing emotional regulation, and taking responsibility for the energy you bring into the space. It is to offer them the one thing they so rarely receive: a partner who is also committed to building a sanctuary, not just inhabiting it. This is what they are scanning for. This is the secret they hide behind their silence. Libra doesn't just need peace. They need reciprocity. They need to know that their efforts are being met, that their care is being valued, and that the scales are balanced because both sides are actively working to keep them so. When a Libra feels this, when they feel they can express a need without causing a rupture, disagree without being punished, and be honest without the entire structure collapsing, something magical happens. The inner war dissolves. The defensive frost melts away. The vigilant architect can finally put down their blueprints and simply live in the beautiful space that has been created together. The mask of perfection falls away, and you are met with a love that is not only gentle and beautiful, but also profoundly real and steadfast. You will have earned their trust, which is the most sacred thing a Libra can give. And you will find that a Libra who feels safe is one of the most loyal, loving, and deeply rewarding partners in the entire Zodiac. They will not just hold a mirror up to you, they will become a doorway to a more beautiful, harmonious, and connected way of living for you both. To love a Libra is to understand that balance isn't passive. It's a brave and continuous act of creation. And the greatest gift you can give them is to pick up a hammer and build that beauty right alongside them. If something I shared today touched you, leave a comment, a heart, a small sign to let me know that somewhere out there we've connected. And if you feel called to walk this path a little longer, don't forget to follow Jin's Cosmic, because the journey of healing, truth, and gentle light is still unfolding here. For souls who are walking, pausing, or just beginning, the universe is never in a rush, and you don't have to be either.